Story you may have heard before, but it's worthwhile repeating. That highlights what Rabbi Leib Box is saying about the stars. Howard Schultz, the famous owner and CEO of Starbucks Coffee, he's a Jew. He's a Jew. He went to Eretz Yisrael on a trip, and he took along with him friends who were also businessmen. And one of the places that they were taken to visit was the Mir, the neighborhood where the Mir is, and also to visit the famous Rosh Hashiva, Rav Nosson Tzvi Finkel, Zeichet Tzadik Levracha. They were brought into Rav Nosson Tzvi's house, and they were told to sit in his dining room, at the dining room table, wait for the Rosh Hashiva to arrive. 15 minutes later, the doors of the dining room open up, and Rav Nosson Tzvi was wheeled in. And no one told these businessmen that Nosson Tzvi Finkel suffers from Parkinson's disease. They were shocked to see a great rabbi, a revered rabbi, shaking uncontrollably. And it created such a fear and an uncomfortable moment for them that they all turned away. They couldn't look at him. Such a rabbi suffering physically. After a few minutes, Nosson Tzvi pounced on the table and he says, Gentlemen, I want to ask you a question. What's the lesson of the Holocaust? No one wanted to answer him. They're already uncomfortable with his speech, that he was stuttering and shaking violently, and his physical was also shaking and trembling. They were looking away. Finally, Rav Nosson Tzvi pointed to one of the guys and says, "Hey, tell me, what do you think is the reason and the lesson of the Holocaust?" Guy says, "Never again. That's the lesson. Never again." Rav Nosson says, "No. How about you? What do you think?" Oh, the guy's like, "No, not me." "Yeah, you. What's the lesson of the Holocaust?" So the guy says, "Never should we be a victim again." Nosson says, "What do you think?" He says, "I think we should never be bystanders." Nosson Tzvi says, "No, you guys have it all wrong." The Nazis in Machshamam came to the shtetl. They came to the villages, and they went and they exported children, mothers, women, men, fathers, husbands, and they put them into cattle cars. They squished them. They crammed them into cattle cars. And they closed the doors. There was no bathrooms. It was freezing cold. It was pitch dark. For hours and hours until they arrived at the death camps. Suddenly they burst open the doors and the glaring sunlight in their eyes blinding them. They were tired. They were hungry. And then they sent them to the barracks to go to sleep on a wooden bed. And what did these Nazi beasts give them to sleep with? To give them some warmth? One blanket for 6 people. And what did the one person who received the first blanket, because he was at the edge of the wooden plank, he had to think to himself, what do I do with this one blanket? Do I keep it for myself so I'm warm, my body's warm? Or do I share the blanket with the next 5 guys on my bed, on my wooden plank? And you know what he said to himself? I'm going to push this blanket to the other 5 guys. And if I push my blanket to the other 5 guys, we'll all have the blanket. Gentlemen, this is the lesson of the Holocaust. Share what you have. Be compassionate. Be concerned. Help others. That's the lesson. So now, Take your blanket of wealth that Hashem blessed you with, and bring it back to America and share it with others. That's the lesson of the stars. Comfort others, be compassionate, and be concerned.